Greetings and good day, listeners, viewers. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Garrett Roche, and I'm here today per the invite of Mr. Johannes Froebel-Parker, also known as simply John Parker, author of the book Anastasia Again, The Hidden Secret of the Romanovs. And we have several friends here with us joining today. And we are at the grave of a lady on this Saturday, 12th of September 2020, where we have just had an amazing feat in history accomplished, although it's on a small scale and little well known. Mr. Parker arranged with the priest in charge here at the Holy Trinity Russian Orthodox Monastery, which this cemetery belongs to have what's called a Panikhida, which in Russian Orthodox tradition is a service for the dead. And the priest earlier, Father Theophylact, agreed to hold a Panikhida, and we picnicked afterwards with a delicious lunch. We are at the grave of Evgenia Smetisko, who Mr. Parker is attempting to prove with his book, Anastasia Again, The Hidden Secret of the Romanovs, that Ms. Smetisko may have been the famous Grand Duchess, also known as you could say Princess or Grand Duchess Anastasia Romanova, or Anastasia Romanov to some. And to have had Father Theophylact today agree to perform this Panikhida, where in the past he had withheld, is an amazing, amazing step towards making history. From an incredible story in the early 1900s where it was pretty much written in stone, so to speak, that the entire Romanov family were massacred. And we are here today, as is Mr. Parker, leading the way to question if this was the truth. And it would be wonderful to think, if we prove this true, that other questions from the past can be proven true, as well as questions from our current times at hand. So we've adorned the grave today, as you can see, with pumpkins or gourds, as appropriate with the autumn season nearing. And we have the original Imperial Russian flag here, provided by Mr. Parker.
And an icon of the Theotokos.
Icon.
And Jesus was here during the service today. Orthodox Panikhida.
Yes, indeed. So if anyone is interested, please reach out to us. John, would you like to provide your contacts? And also, of course, this video will be on YouTube, so you're more than welcome to comment on the YouTube video, but we're looking to bring people together in this and have direct person-to-person communication, especially.
I have a website called Annentafelbooks.com. Annentafel, of course, is a term that we use in genealogy from the German, which means family tree. Annentafel, A-H-N-E-N-T-A-F-E-L, books, all one word, Annentafelbooks.com, where you will learn more about the book Anastasia Again, The Hidden Secret of the Romanovs. And just to reiterate what Mr. Roche was saying, we're not here to forcibly put our interpretation on history. We're here to reveal what we have found, which compels us to question history, because the overriding narrative is really that Anastasia died in 1918. And yet, the woman Evgenia Smetisko, buried here, who came to America in 1922 with her own date of birth, has been buried by the Orthodox Church with the birth date of Anastasia Romanova, the 18th of June, 1901. And what makes this argument even more compelling is that she is a 2D and 3D visual face recognition match with the real Anastasia. So the mathematical probability that she would match in 2D and 3D analyses and also be buried in an official grave with the birth date of the Grand Duchess is more than a mathematical fluke. Something has happened. We also know that Sidney Gibbs, the beloved tutor of the Romanov children, he was able to escape. And he escaped to England and became an Orthodox monk, taking his collection of Romanov memorabilia and objets d'art with him to England. At his death, this lady receives his collection. She met with him a number of times under the name of Evgenia Smetisko in England, and she receives those objects, which many of them are in the museum here at the monastery today. So I urge you to read the book, question, you don't have to believe that she's Anastasia Romanov, but question whether we must believe or not exactly what we have been told by historians, church authorities, so quote-unquote experts, or is there something yet to be discovered? It wouldn't be the first time in history where this has happened. And I would like to thank Victoria Signorelli, also distant cousin of mine,
Absolutely.
who was my gracious proofreader for the first edition, and now we're on the second edition of the book. And Victoria, thank you very much.
Oh, thank you.
I
It was
appreciate
an honor.
it. And we also have guests here who came with us today from the Spanish Mass community of in Albany, New York. And if we have any questions in English or in Spanish, we'd be happy to answer them because we can do this bilingually, and it's no problem. Any questions? ¿Alguna pregunta?
Solamente, ¿no te han dado la aprobación de exhumar tu cuerpo y sacar tu DNA?
Whether there would be an exhumation of the body or not. And I'll answer that first in Spanish. Es posible que vaya a haber una exhumación del cuerpo, pero nosotros hemos entendido de que no será necesario porque hay una prueba de ADN en algún lugar. Entonces vamos a ver qué pasa. The question was, will the exhumation of the body be necessary? We have heard that it would not be necessary because there was a existing DNA sample that was given by Evgenia, and nobody, at least anybody that I know, knows where it is, which could be the reason why SLEDCOM came here in 2018. That is the Russian Investigative Committee. Were they here to just visit the museum, or were they here to retrieve a DNA sample? Y el comité de investigación ruso estuvo aquí en 2018 y no sabemos, tal vez ya hayan llegado aquí para llevar la prueba de ADN. And in that case, it would be already in Russia. En este caso, estaría ya en Rusia la prueba. So that's a very good question. Thank you very much. Victoria, would you like to say anything or ask any question?
Well, I read the book, as John has already said, and it's a very, very good book. It's got a lot of information regarding Anastasia and Evgenia, and a lot of things do match up. I mean, I urge you to read the book if you want. It's going to be in the libraries very soon, most likely. And it's very interesting. It's a mystery. It's a real mystery.
And there are other investigators who are going to come out very soon. I won't mention the name, but you will know when you hear about it in the news, who are going to say that Anastasia did survive, but that the entire family survived. and that it was a state secret. I cannot attest to that. I know nothing about that. If you hear about it, it won't be associated with my book because that's not the focus of my investigation. But this researcher also does believe that Anastasia, at least, escaped. So there are two of us who believe that. And a number of readers have told me that they have looked at the 2D and 3D visual face recognition analyses, and they say it's her. The man whose technology I used, Mr. Bob Schmidt, who passed away last year, 2019, he said to me, quote unquote, obviously it's the same person. And then he also said to me, quote unquote, in my 30 years of this research, this is the best match that I have seen. In the book, you will also see that I took the face of the Empress, Alexandra, and I checked it against the face of Evgenia to see if there's a mother-daughter relationship. And it's almost a better match than it is between this lady and Anastasia. They absolutely look like clones. And when you do the overlay of the two photos, you have a beautiful face of mother and daughter, which mesh as one. And it's funny because the Romanovs always said Anastasia resembles her German side of her family. And of course, her mother was German. So I encourage you to read the book, Anastasia Again, the hidden history, the hidden secret rather, of the Romanovs, and come to your own conclusions. Write firstkindergarten@gmail.com is my email, firstkindergarten@gmail.com. Check Mr. Roche's YouTube channel for further updates. And what is your channel, Garrett?
The number's 123, a space, the number's 456, capital letter L.
Can you repeat that again one more time for the audience?
123, space, 456, capital letter L.
On YouTube, where we already have one or two interviews posted, including one which has a magnificent portrait of Anastasia as an adult, done by the artist Barbara Coor Green of Catskill, New York, which was done using the 2D and the 3D visual face recognition technology. So I'd just like to thank you all for coming today, and Mr. Markovitz, thank you for coming, and the audience here today, and also Garrett for a wonderful interview. Thank you so much.
Oh, it's beyond my pleasure and more. And I'd like to give a few personal thank yous and notices here. One of the reasons Mr. Parker's email address is firstkindergarten@gmail.com is because he is a descendant of Friedrich Froebel, who was the founder of the Ideals for Kindergarten. Also, Mr. Rudy, did you have a word you'd like to say?
Yeah, I have a question.
Rudy Lopez.
Thank you.
You are welcome, sir.
Thank you very much. For most people in the Latin community, we don't know about anything about Anastasia. I would like to know, and I ask you, if the cartoon, the movie, the comic is relative with the history of the Anastasia. That would be nice for all the Latin people, Latin community, to know more about her, because probably I saw the movie and I make a connection. It's a very interesting movie. That would be nice if you can explain, please, if the movie, the cartoon for kids is relative with the history of the Anastasia.
Right, if the movie Anastasia is somehow relevant to this story, well, of course, because we're talking about the same person. Of course, in the movie it's much more fantastical, a little bit fictionalized to make it interesting to the viewer. But the truth of the matter is, if you read the book, which also includes memoirs from Evgenia Smetisko, aka Anastasia Romanova, that story is even more spellbinding. The things that she does to get out of Bolshevik Russia, to survive, being rescued, leaving Russia to go into Europe, is just amazing. a number, I'd say 3 or 4 readers have told me they could not put the book down.
I was
And
one of them.
Were you one of them too?
I
We're
was
up to
one of
5 then. Okay, why is that? Why could you
It
not
was
put
a
the book
page
down?
turner. I couldn't put it down because every page I wanted to find out more and more information. I couldn't put it down because I needed to know what would happen next. And it was always incredible.
And I haven't spoken to so many men about it, but the women that I've spoken about the book with have told me that they cried. That there were many times in the book where they cried, and I'm sure some men would be moved to tears also. But I haven't spoken to them yet, and I will talk to them eventually. So if you read the book and you're a man, please tell me how you react to it. But the women have told me that they actually cried. And one said, I did not want the book to end. Please tell me in a subsequent book what happened to her life after she escaped. And I will work on that, and in the next few years I will write about that.
Yes, and I want to be that person too.
You want to be that person too?
Fantastic.
And Rudy, I'll try to do something in Spanish to translate the book into Spanish. I am going to put it into an audio book so that people can listen to it while they're driving or exercising or something. But I will look into a Spanish version of that book. Okay. Muchas gracias por la pregunta.
Ya, con mucho
Muy
gusto.
amable. Gracias.
Gracias a ti por la respuesta y creo que esto sería un buen inicio para conocer más acerca de la princesa Anastasia y que yo nunca me imaginé que aquí en este rinconcito en el estado de Nueva York tenemos un gran personaje que para muchos es desconocido y sobre todo nuestra comunidad latina. Muchas gracias, John.
Thank you. Gracias. Rudy was saying that he never could have imagined that such a personality as Anastasia could be here in our little area of New York State. That such a gem would be accessible to us. And of course, we will not be the final arbiters of if she is or if she isn't. But the world needs to consider her. The Russian embassy in Washington, D.C. is aware of her, I know, because I've sent them information, the Russian consulate in New York City. I've sent to the Russian consulates, actually the Russian embassies in Denmark and Sweden, so they must know about her. And we hope that within a relatively short time we will have the final word about what really happened to the Romanovs as the Bolshevik Revolution unfolds in Russia, and with lessons for us today in our own society and in our own country. So thank you all very much for coming, and thank you for having me as a guest.
Thank you.
Thank you for being my guest, and I cannot thank all of you enough for being part of this interview today. I also have a few words to add myself. You mentioned about being here in upstate New York, just so all the viewers / listeners here understand, this is the Holy Trinity Russian Orthodox outside of Russia Monastery, and the cemetery which belongs to it where we are here in Jordanville, New York, which is in Herkimer County, and it's near the famous Cooperstown, which is famous for the Baseball Hall of Fame being there. And I would also like to personally thank Ms. Victoria Signorelli. John is an amateur genealogist and has performed her genealogy through DNA and has discovered she is a descendant of Luca Signorelli, who worked alongside Michelangelo in the painting of the Sistine Chapel. The Signorellis are from Sicily. But I want to thank you personally, and your sister Linda, who is not present today, but you both were customers of my place of work, Walgreens in Hudson, New York, where I reside. And you introduced me to Mr. Parker. You came in as customers and we started chatting, and told me you have an interesting friend who wrote a book on the Romanovs, and I host a radio show in Hudson, New York, which is unfortunately currently on pause on WGXC 90.7 FM, which Mr. Parker has been a guest several times, as well as Ms. Signorelli. And my friend Daniel Marinovic here, who lives around the corner from me in Hudson, New York. Hudson is in Columbia County, near the famous Hudson River. And he holds an interest, besides being a friend of, mutual friend of ours now, and a friend of mine. He is a descendant of, and his mother and father are from Yugoslavia. They're Romanians from Yugoslavia. So He has a strong interest in European history, therefore, and has come to find Mr. Parker's book and his research fascinating as well. So just to continue with, I met Mr. Parker through Vicky, as we call her for short, and her sister Linda in Hudson, and it's amazing how one chain link of life leads to another. So,
And then we found out we were related.
yes, DNA
And I'm not Italian.
research.
No war.
Yes, and definitely, you know, I mean, it was Linda started the chain events.
Absolutely.
Hey.
So thank you very much. Thank you, audience,
Thank you.
for watching. And any questions, feel free to ask.
Many thanks, and in memory of Evgenia Smetisko, aka allegedly Anastasia Romanova, thank you very much in Russian. Spasibo Bolshoi.
Spasiba.
Спасибо.
Have a wonderful day.